everyone, welcome to CresTV, your regular roundup of all things UC, AV, and what's going on in the Crestron world. And I've got a vendor today. I'm going to talk tech. I get my chance to ask all the questions I want to ask, and then hopefully some of them are the answers to some of the ones that you want to hear. So I'm going to play Village Idiot, and I've got our guest joining us here on the show. Let's bring them out. Justin Shong from Jupiter. Justin, how you doing?
Good. I'm doing good, Neil. How about yourself?
Very, very good. So Jupiter, I obviously know what it is. There's a picture of me looking like an idiot trying to stretch my way across it. But for the people who are sleeping in a darkened room and don't know who think Jupiter is a planet somewhere in the solar system, tell us about Jupiter and who you are.
Well, it is the biggest planet in the solar system. So let's just get that one out there. And thanks for having me on this morning. I really appreciate it. Jupiter is... I like to describe it as a 40-year-old startup. So we invented the video wall processor in 1981. And since then have been really working towards, making it a better product, right? And it's gone, we had a number of firsts that we did. We invented the product. We were the first people to put it on Windows. We were the first people to do AV over IP back in the mid 2000s. We've done a lot of kind of firsts as we've gone through the business to really refine that product. And today we are, arguably the most comprehensive, if you've got a crazy project that needs a video wall processor and a video wall ecosystem, we're the guys you call.
Nice.
Along with that, we've always been looking to grow the company. And so as an independent US corporation, we're looking for ways to add revenue to that fairly niche product line that we've, done a lot of work on and really established our chops in. And we could have gone one of two ways. We could have gotten more upstream with the video, visual processing and visual information into the content management collaboration suite, whatever, that kind of space. It's a really crowded space. It takes a lot of, chops and expertise, and something that it's really hard to differentiate yourself in. So we looked at how do we go from, kind of downstream from there to the devices that shine the light into your eyeballs. And we were able to come up with a new take on monitors, and specifically large format, although we do desktops as well, in that we wanted to go to 21:9 aspect ratio, which is 233:1 theater aspect ratio. It's what Hollywood's been using for the last 50, 60 years.
Right.
We believe it is a much better way, a much more immersive way to visually consume the information that gets, flashed at us on the screen. It fits our field, the human field of view, right? We see wider than we see tall. And putting this kind of aspect ratio in there, fits how we view the world, as opposed to more of the square 16:9, which grew out of the 4:3, which was, if you go all the way back, it was kind of like, make it square.
Yeah,
right? I mean, literally, when they started doing it 100 years ago, it was like, make them square.
Yeah.
And it was manufacturing kind of drove it. CRTs did better in a square kind of aspect, the 4:3 aspect ratio. You couldn't build them in the wider aspect ratio. Technology's caught up, and we've been able to build LCDs using, today's LCD technology with some of our own, internal flair around the hardware and the electronics to make it work in this wider aspect ratio at an economical price to where it actually makes, sense from an economic standpoint. We're not charging $100,000 a monitor. It will fit into your budget when you start doing rollouts.
And obviously, the market is a completely awash with 16:9. So have you guys just taken a 16:9 and sort of stretched it? I mean, is everything, all the pixels now make everyone look a bit fat when you play a source sort of 21:9 screen? What did you do?
We really reimagined it, and we said, we're going to make it wider because we believe it's a better way to be immersive in that, but we don't want to distort the image. So rather than going kind of 4K and pulling it a little wider, they're 5K. So they're, we have another 1,000 pixels horizontally.
Wow.
Vertically, they're still, 2,000 pixels tall.
Yep.
But we added pixels rather than just stretching the screen. And by doing that, we had to build all our own hardware inside the boards and the chips to decode and then, display it. But we were able to kind of give you that, realistic picture like you do on your desktop when you stretch and pull windows and do those sorts of things. It's the same thing hanging on the wall. And then tied with that, most modern PCs, appliances, you name it, will read the EDID and give you a 21:9 picture pretty much out of the box.
Wow, nice. And we were talking before we recorded, and you blew my mind with something, and I want to put it out there. So 21:9 screen. So obviously you make the electronics, and you've made the blueprint architecture for the panel that you want. But you were saying about the actual screens. That just talk to us about. You said it was you described like a roll of carpet. I love this fact that obviously you can go and buy a panel, whatever aspect ratio and size you want. But you were saying that a lot of them are just offcuts.
They are.
Love that.
I mean, if you think about an OC fab who are making the glass, it's the same kind of scale of investment as an integrated circuit fab, right? So it's in the billions of dollars. And so the manufacturers of those, and those are not, LG and Samsung and any of the other big names. There are certain players that we all go to get our glass. Have to find the best possible way to use every square inch of that glass that comes out of it, just like on the IC fabs. And so what they do is they'll have their primary, like let's say the Jupiter products, their primary for whatever run they're doing. We've laid it out with them. We masked it. We've got our kind of where our connections go, how the electronics work, all of those sorts of things. But there will be remnants of the glass because the glass comes in set sizes, right? I mean, when they manufacture it, comes out in a giant sheet that is X by Y. Whatever's left over, they chop up and build into kind of custom stuff. And it could be a desktop monitor. It could be a banner monitor doing digital signage, whatever, that goes to a factory somewhere that then builds a custom product for somebody.
So the people watching this today could be watching it on a leftover of a Jupiter 21:9 screen.
Absolutely, they could be, right? And it could be going in your car. It could be going not so much on your phone, right? No. But I mean, in anything down to kind of the desktop
automotive
size,
and stuff. Yeah,
it's the same technology.
Wow. That's amazing. That's amazing. Now, 21:9, as I say, I've always known it as like IMAX and cinema and stuff like that. And you were talking about, obviously, your founder was big in Hollywood before we were pressing record. But it's blown up recently, probably in the last year, 18 months with Microsoft Front Row. Just tell us a little bit about how that kind of came about, what happened there, and again, what you were doing with Microsoft around this Front Row and this wider aspect for collaborative meetings.
Absolutely. So we were developing 21:9 before we had any idea that Microsoft was interested in the aspect ratio, and vice versa. They were looking at blended projection as how they were going to go to market with Front Row. Our idea was it was going to be much more on the touch collaborative kind of standpoint, given the ergonomics of the panel itself. It's 8+ feet wide and it's about 3 feet 4 inches tall. So mounted at the correct height, it doesn't matter if you're 5 feet tall or 7 feet tall. You can get to the top and the bottom of it and use all of the pixels, and more importantly, you reach the controls that make you look like you know what you're doing, as opposed to somebody who's vertically challenged, walking up to a 98-inch square and then trying to jump because they won't do it.
Yeah.
They simply will not engage with the technology because they're not going to risk looking foolish in front of their peers. I was an SI for years. We deployed hundreds of touch monitors in enterprises. They never got used.
Yeah.
Right? They used them like monitors. They never used the touch.
Oh, you could actually touch this thing? I mean, it's funny.
Yeah, exactly.
So previous life, we had a 98-inch. Can't remember what, and that was again in the kind of auditorium-y lecture theatre style. And again, there was a touch product that we had, and we had to have a separate like 21-inch touch, which you actually used to interact, and it would echo. Right. There's a DA that just split it out to the big 98, and you would never use the 98 as a touch because you could never get to the top of it. And in addition to that, obviously, in the world of video, everyone says, "I'll put the camera on top of the screen," but when it's 16:9 and you got this kind of, and if you're slightly, slightly follically challenged or vertically challenged, you're not going to work in either way. So that is the beauty of 21:9. Again, you'd have to go very big before you then lose vertical real estate to be able to get to the top of it.
Correct.
Yeah. Really
so we were thinking touch collaboration, right? Getting everybody in the room to stand up and actually interact with the technology. A couple of the other things we were thinking of, it'll fit in an elevator. So as someone who's rented cranes and popped windows out of buildings to move Microsoft Surface hubs in and out of, high floors, as a SI, when I was looking to join Jupiter and I heard about this, I'm like, oh, dude, it's sold, right? It only weighs 150 pounds.
Okay.
2 people, 3 people, depending on the size of your people, can carry it up a flight of stairs or put it in an elevator and take it to a high floor. And so the ergonomics, not just of the use, but of the installation, service, maintenance, really kind of jumped out to us. As we were building it, we brought it to market, and we had some previous, connections with some folks at Microsoft through building some of their integration centers when I was at Whitlock. And I was, talking to my friends over at Microsoft, and said, "Hey, you got to look at this. You got to look at this." And they're like, "Yeah. Tell me when you're ready. All right. When it's to market, when it's mature enough, we'll look at it." So finally got them to take a look at it, and they went, "Ooh, we got to connect you with our Teams guys, right?" And nobody outside had really known what was going on. And the Teams guys are like, "We're looking at 21x9, and we're looking at blended projection, and now all of a sudden you can deliver me 105-inch 21x9. So can you get one up here tomorrow?"
Yeah.
Right?
When can you get me one?
Yeah, right? Several. And have, over the first 6 months, was really refining the product, because there were certain things that they needed that we didn't have, and we had to go back into our supply chain. And because we own our supply chain, we could make those modifications to make it fit how they wanted an MTR to operate. And we did. And we're Microsoft's internal standard. We are we're in 50 plus global enterprises now for MTRs. And then we've kind of expanded from there. A lot of the other platforms are seriously looking at 21x9, since the leaders are looking at it. And then several of the collaboration partners that we work with in our ecosystem, specifically Aleo and Ramago, have built 21x9 interfaces for Jupiter systems. And they're pretty good partners of ours. And we go to market with them for kind of wherever they need. If somebody has a certain use that fits one better than the other, they kind of go with that. And we're starting to see a lot of traction from that. It's not just MTR, although MTR is, they're the 800-pound gorilla.
Yeah. And you guys don't have a 16.9. This is 21x9 is you're not. It's not like, oh yeah, we've done this is we'll tag on, we'll jump on the bandwagon. Microsoft is doing this. You are just all about 21x9 when it comes to the display technology.
When we thought about it, we really do believe it's a better way to consume the information. So we're not going to go compete in the 16x9 space. We have everything from a 34-inch desktop version all the way up to, our 105 is a big one in the LCD, but then we've got direct view LED kits that go from 165 to 285 and extend that aspect ratio across everything, right?
Wow. And
in larger rooms that want, specifically front row, the 165 is actually a hit, right? It's a 0.7 product. It's a flip chip COB driven by a company called Megapixel VR that does, spectacular XR kind of, virtual production kind of output and control that we really believe is, again, kind of the hit of the market. We launched that. We sneak peeked it at ISE. We're going to launch it hard at Infocom here in Orlando.
Nice. Now, again, I played with the 105. It was amazing from an experience point of view. And again, you're getting that full 5K experience that you're not getting with a 16x9 when you're connecting that up to an MTR. Now, we talked again previously, and I don't know if this is going to be exclusive, and I may get into trouble by putting this out, but we, Crestron and Jupiter, are putting together a bundle with it's Salamander as well, I think, that we're going to come
Salamander
to market with.
On the furniture side, both of the credenza and the small sort of huddle room table. And really the idea is the bundle makes it easy for our system integrator partners to say, hey, I've got, call it a non-integrated room, right? So you don't have a DSP, you don't have speakers and ceilings or ceiling mics. It's a, one SKU with either a credenza or a 3-person kind of huddle table, a Jupiter 105 or an 81, and then the Crestron MTR kit and control tablet that goes with it. So for the design engineers out at our SIs, it's like, hey, I got 50 of these rooms I got to populate, right? And when you're doing a big refresh, that's kind of what you have. It's like, oh, I'll drop one of these in there, just like that. I'll buy a SKU that we've already tested, kind of work together to make sure everything works, make sure everything fits, make sure, when you buy it, you've got everything you need.
Yep.
And nobody forgets mounts or cables or bolts, or the kind of stuff that drive system integrators crazy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And cost them money.
Now, just as a closing, because again, 105, love it, awesome. That's my kind of go-to. Talk to me about the desktop stuff as well. So you said there's a 34-inch?
There's a 34-inch desktop. It's available on Amazon, B&H, and through our channel.
Okay.
It is a 3440 panel. We looked at 5K. It became prohibitively expensive to build a 5K 34. But full touch, single USB-C connection. So I'm talking to you on one right now.
Wow. Okay.
It's got an integrated 4K camera that kind of tilts and swivels and moves around.
Yeah, got it.
So you can use it in kind of in a collaborative environment. It also articulates sort of similar to a Microsoft Surface Studio. So you can lay it down in a drafting table sort of orientation.
Okay.
And actually use the touch. So you
can use it like, in front of you. Wow, okay.
So right now, mine is canted back at about a 30-degree angle.
Yep.
So if I want to grab the pen here,
okay,
I can start writing on it very comfortably.
Nice.
As opposed to something that's at 90 degrees,
the
only thing you're going to do is scroll.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, really. So that combined with the USB-C, it's a great kind of hoteling hot desk, right? It's plugged into my Mac. And we've got some touch drivers that allow the Mac to actually work on it. And it's a fantastic single monitor now, where I used to have dual monitors on my desktop.
Nice. I love it. Right. Okay. Sold. Yes. Love it. 105 and 34. And, if I could even find a room big enough to put one of the big ones in, we'd go with that as well.
We also, Neil, just a quick plug. We also have an 87 coming out.
Okay. None of this is NDA, by the way. Spoilers and all that. Okay. I don't want to get into one trouble.
It'll be an Infocom.
87.
We have some other sizes coming out as well, too, to really flesh out that 21x9 family. Sweet. And again, we're the 21x9 guys.
Yeah.
And what we're launching in June at Infocom is our Gen 3 product. Right. So what we've been shipping for the last year plus is our Gen 2 product. So we're already, Gen 3, and we're looking at developing Gen 4 already.
Wow.
So, I mean, we're continuing down this path of staying ahead of everybody else, being the market leader in this, and we believe we can continue to drive that.
It's amazing. Again, I don't know of any other real 21x9 vendors. Again, you are my go-to when anyone asks me about 21x9. But the fact that all of the others that are probably coming out in the market are just jumping on the bandwagon, stretching their 16.9, or again asking them to cut it a bit wider when they cut the panel. The fact that you are absolutely all in on 21x9 and nothing else, and again, that is your bread and butter and your core, and the fact that you are already getting Gen 3 out there and Gen 4 when everyone else is just starting that journey that you started those years ago, and stumbling across the problems that you solved and fixed and moved on from. So really, really powerful.
Thank you.
When it comes to a product. Where can people find out more about Jupiter products? Where's the website? Where can they go?
We've got a complicated website. It's jupiter.com.
Excellent. So, how hard was it to get the domain on that one?
It's nice that we're 40 years old, right? We grabbed that one early, right? So it's jupiter.com. We have representation in pretty much every region globally. So there are local reps in, no matter where you're talking to me from or watching this from, you've got a local rep from Jupiter. So if you go sales@jupiter.com, we can direct you to your local rep. We also have distribution and SI partners globally. We have about installations in more than 90 countries around the world, and partners in all of those countries and regions as well.
Very cool. And we're going to see you at Infocom in Orlando as well.
Correct.
Fantastic.
Justin, I love International Boulevard.
There you go. I my first one in Orlando. I came to the one in Vegas last year, and I'm back to Infocom this year for Orlando. So I'm looking forward to it, and it's going to be warm, hopefully.
It'll be warm. Hopefully it won't be too humid, but it's always a great time to get together with the folks in the business and really start collaborating and driving additional revenue.
Very cool. Well, Justin, thank you ever so much for spending the time and joining us on CresTV this morning. I will speak to you again very soon, and I can't wait to get some products to play with, and we'll do a full demo and review of the Jupiter products. When we got one going into our New Jersey office, we've got one on the booth at Infocom, and I'm hoping to play with a 34 as well. So that would be very cool.
Sounds great. Thanks, Neil.
Thanks, Justin. And thank you all for tuning in and joining us on this episode of CresTV. Justin Shong there from Jupiter. If you don't know about 21x9, where have you been? It's the thing at the moment. If you're into Microsoft or Front Row, it's the thing. And as you've just heard from Justin, it makes an amazing collaboration experience. Go wide rather than tall. You can reach, no matter how short and tall you are, you can reach the top. Go and have a look at jupiter.com for more information about 21x9 screens. And go and have a look at crestron.com. We're putting together that bundle with Salamander and Jupiter for that amazing MTR bundle with the Jupiter screen. Thanks for tuning in. Ring the bell, hit subscribe. Make sure you join us every Thursday here on CresTV, and I'll catch you on the next one.